Welcome to Study Holic. Today we are going to discuss about Chapter 3, Key Concepts and Issues since 1991, Humanitarian Issues. Second chapter we did few days ago, and if you have watched that just now, so that's fine. So उसमें हमने डिस्कस किया था कि लाइक मॉडर्नाइजेशन के क्या इफेक्ट्स हुए, आइडियोलॉजिकल इश्यूज, टेक्नोलॉजी एंड पॉलिटिकल इम्पैक्ट्स एंड how they affected us in a certain way and how development came into picture. And in this chapter, we will have some discussion about how different aspects of environment are related to each other in a certain way, which we didn't thought it would be. Okay, so broadly, there are three topics that would be environment and sustainability, poverty and development, then poverty and women, and their situation in the whole world and their situation with respect to India. So that's what we are going to do. Yeah, pretty much clear. Okay, so first topic, that is environment and sustainability. So what is environment? I guess we all are in a position to understand what is environment, and there is no actually any kind of need to explain that. But then too, environment is anything and everything you can see around you, right from the bed, mobile, the window, the trees, and whatever you could see around you is a part of environment. Environment you can broadly divide it into two, that is natural environment and man-made environment. Okay, so that is about environment. Then how come environment has some kind of relation with political science? Political science is all about developments in various fields that we are looking up to, right? So why does environment come here? Because environment and sustainability. What is sustainability? We are going to see in a couple of minutes. So hold on for that. This term, that is the relation, first time was derived by UN Conference on the Human Environment held in Stockton in 1972. So that time the main purpose was to encourage and provide guidelines for the protection and improvement of human environment. In 1983, the UN set up World Commission on Environment and Development, that is Brundtland Commission. And when the Brundtland Commission did its research and submitted some papers, on the basis of that, the UN General Assembly called for UN Conference on Environment and Development, UNCED. Okay, and it is also known as Rio de Janeiro Earth Summit 1992, or the Rio Summit, or Rio Conference, or Earth Summit. And it was quite famous because for the first time somebody has taken in consideration with the environment and development such a relation. So it was welcomed all over the world, such a new initiative. And after that, many meetings were held in 2002, 2012, and I guess even in 2020 and 2021. So that's all about the Earth Summit. And okay, now we come to environmental sustainability. Environmental sustainability is the responsible interaction with the environment. Because if humans are going to deteriorate, that is destroy it to a certain extent, it is fine. But if you go beyond it, it will be harmful for ourselves. It's like खुद के पैरों पर कुल्हाड़ी मारने जैसा काम हो जाएगा. So that is environmental sustainability. What is environmental sustainability? Responsible interaction with the environment, so that हमारा भी काम हो जाए और बाद में ज़्यादा नुकसान भी ना हो जाए. So that is environmental sustainability. On page number 25, left column, a very good definition is given, and if ever in exam the question is asked to define sustainability, please use that. I will read it for you once. Environmental sustainability is defined as responsible interaction with the environment to avoid depletion or degradation of natural resources and allow for long-term environmental quality. The practice of environmental sustainability helps to ensure that the needs of today's population are met without jeopardizing the ability of future generations to meet their needs. Jeopardizing means put something into a situation of danger. Okay, I hope we are clear on that. And after that, we are going to have some examples of important environmental concerns like climate change. Okay, even in current news, we have heard that because of pollution or something, Taj Mahal has become yellow, and certain other things that Ganga has more kachra and it is no more pavitra. So things like that were in recent news. So it has certain impact on climate change, and climate change sudden environmental impacts like floods and droughts are all things human beings are responsible and they bought it on themselves. We can say that we bought it on ourselves because we are also humans. So yeah, greenhouse gas emissions are the main cause of climate change. What are greenhouse gases? Greenhouse gases that okay, we have studied it in lower classes. Increase in the amount of carbon emission because of vehicles. You are hearing the sounds even right now. There is a lot of traffic down there. So that also causes the emission of a lot of green emissions. Even the farmers, they burn their farms. That is called burn farm practice or something like that, and that also causes a lot of harmful gases right out in the air, and which may cause certain kind of airborne diseases to humans like asthma and breathing problems, many things. Pollution is second one. Air pollution, climate change, everything is interconnected. Greenhouse gases emissions are warming the planet and also creating smoggy condition in major cities. Like the good example of this thing would be Delhi. Whenever it rains heavily, there is a fog and people are usually not able to see on highways. And if that is a two-way highway, then it's okay. But if it's a single-way thing and if you are not able to see what is in front, then many accidents are caused due to that. So that is also one of the big concern about the climate change. Then next come deforestation. Okay, you cut trees, there would be no conversion of the carbon dioxide which we leave and the oxygen that tree gives us in return. That conversion would be stopped. So that's why deforestation becomes a really big problem and a factor of climate change. Next is water scarcity. Though we have 70% of water bodies on this earth's surface and just like around 30% of land, but still that is not usable water because it is salty. Ocean water is not that suitable for our needs. So okay, though there are certain chemical plants and other things to refine it, we are not able to make it potable drinking water. So that is also one of the problems. Next is loss of biodiversity. Biodiversity means various animals and plants living in the environment being interdependent on each other, because there is a food chain, and if someone's food is affected, then the other would face certain problems. It is a cycle. Like men are omnivorous, they have both plants and animals. If a certain kind of animal is deficit, like for tiger, then the number of herbivorous animals would increase because there are no carnivores to eat them anymore. So that's the thing about loss of biodiversity. The Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change is a new administrative structure which is mainly responsible for planning, promotion, coordination, and overseeing the implementation of certain environmental and forest policies and programs for the betterment of our environment and seeing that our needs are fulfilled as well as there is something kept for the future generation. So, okay, I guess we are done with our first topic. It was a bit lengthy. Next, poverty and development. What is poverty? India has a lot of poverty because we are the population of 139 crores, and the 10% of our population is the one that has around 80 to 90% of the India's GDP. Yeah. So a major chunk of our population is poor or below poverty line. We can say that. The more poor people in the country, and how does that affect development? Poverty till a certain period, the traditional definition of poverty as called in our textbooks is what they just consider some basic things for like shelter, food and clothes. Okay, that was the basic criteria of poverty in traditional times. But in modern times, many modernizational waves are taken in consideration. Like, is the person able to have good job opportunities? How well educated he or she is? Certain new aspects have grown into it with time. So that is the difference between modern and traditional wave of poverty. So that was one chunk of it. And if there is more population which is poor in a nation, then that country cannot be called as developed country. India still is a developing country because we are trying to eradicate poverty and give all its citizens the basic right to live an opportunity. That is what a democracy should do, isn't it? So that's the relation between poverty and development. Then what is UN Millennium Declaration? In September 2000, the member states of UN adopted United Nations Millennium Declaration, and in that declaration, certain goals were set. Here, here I have taken a picture of 8 goals, but the major goals were ensure environmental sustainability, develop a global partnership for development. Because the more we have foreign investment in our country, the more good infrastructure and our educational system will become. So that is one thing. And then eradication of extreme poverty and hunger was also a major goal in that UN Millennium Declaration of 2015. This type of question can be asked an objective, so like be careful and have a note of it in your mind. Next will be role of state. When there is a number of chunk of the population is poor, then the role of state has a greater what we can say role or part to play, like have certain policies or give certain extensions to the people which have certain financial problems. So that is one thing. And next is on international level, what all things can be done for eradicating poverty. The Economic and Social Council of United Nations is it considers poverty as a denial of choice and opportunities and violation of human dignity. It says that it is a basic right to have human dignity, and being poor takes away that right from you. So it is like the most unfair thing that can ever happen to anyone, that is becoming being poor. And next is the role of free market. What is free market? We have studied about the tariffs and different tax. When we sell our things into another country, that we need to pay a certain amount of tax for that country, to that country. Even in India, when something else from outside is sold, that has certain tariff, TRAIF. So that is called tariff, and because of we are engaging in various international organization, World Trade Organization (WTO), there certain agreements are signed for better international alliance with each other. That is causing us to become a free market, and free market are a deadly thing for small income or small businesses because they face a very great competition. We have seen about this in earlier discussions. So that's it. Next point will be the planning commission. No. Next point will be poverty and development in India. So we saw poverty and development with aspect of the whole world. Now we are mainly concerned with poverty and how it is tackled, or what is its condition in India. So modernization of economy. As I said earlier, because of modernization, employment has increased. The investment of foreign countries in India has increased, and that's why people are getting good employment, and it has certain good benefits, and various land reforms and irrigations were taken by the government, which are causing certain good results. And the next point would be self-reliance, like make in India. That is certain initiative that our prime minister has taken into consideration. And import substitution is a great strategy which is in process. The focus was to develop indigenous industries. India did take foreign aid from other countries, but the aid was utilized mainly in the public sector industries. Next point will be socialist pattern of society with equity and social justice. The 5-year plan, also known as Niti Aayog, has taken in consideration for the development of our environment and eradication of poverty and certain such small goals every 5 years. The Planning Commission was set up by Government of India in March 1950 to promote the rapid rise in standard of living of people. One of its objectives was to formulate a plan for the most effective and balanced utilization of the country's resources. The Planning Commission was replaced by National Institute for Transforming India, also known as Niti Aayog, on January 1st, 2015. 2015 कब था जब मोदी गवर्नमेंट पावर में आया, मोदी गवर्नमेंट. Okay. So that time the Planning Commission changed to Niti Aayog. Next point will be the green revolution. In agriculture sector, HIV, okay, high yielding variety of seeds are the seeds that are made in laboratory to have greater chances of a healthy plant to grow, which gives the farmer a little resistant seeds from the pesticides, and that makes India providing increase in production to make India self-sufficient in food grains. So that was of H by B variants of seeds. Next point will be poverty and women. Before poverty and women, there are certain schemes which you can have a look for, like Jawahar Gram Samriddhi Yojana. Nothing major is given, just a small introduction when it was launched, and a single line about what it is meant to be. An important scheme in that would be Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, famously known as Magan Rega. Magan Rega, what it promises? It promises to provide 100 days assured employment every year to every rural household. Okay, so that is one of the important schemes of the government. So the next topic, poverty and women. Why poverty and women are kept together? Because okay, one is an aspect of a developed society, and other is a gender. Usually, since time immemorial, there was certain kind of discrimination against women in certain areas. So, like if there is a same kind of work, the wages of women would be low, and as that of a man would be high. There are certain factors associated with it. For example, maybe their strength is less, their intelligence is questioned, but I don't think that's the right criteria of having those things. So that's why women were discriminated, and in recent centuries, an idea of women empowerment has been as a result of modernization, and various initiatives by government, by NGOs were taken to uplift women. What does empowerment means? The box definition would definitely work. A process by which oppressed person gain control over their own lives. We are not asking to have a superwoman or something like that, but equal rights is what we expect in a democracy. People should be well aware that a gender approach based on the assumption that men and women understand the world in a different way should not be a key to have more power on a certain sector of human. Gender equality is seen in various sectors, whether it be employment, community, or any such decision making thing. But with time, certain improvements have been done in that sector. The United Nations Decade for Women began in the year 1976, UN Decade for Women. In that, the aim was to promote equal rights and opportunity for women across the globe. I guess everyone is well aware of that facts. Status of women in India. Mainly, Indian women face a lot of challenges when it comes to have equal right for their say in the society, because of the traditional mindset we have. There is a lot of inequality, whether it be economic, social, political, in all sectors. The Indian women face it mainly because they are not educated. Maximum, you see, our moms are housewives. They were eradicated from the opportunity of education, and thus they are unable to stand on their own. That is really a sad thing, but a major change. Education can bring a major change in this sector. So there are various problems which are seen in India, like trafficking and exploitation. The human trafficking, that is a majority percent of that are female childs. They are exploited and trafficked to other countries for a good amount of money, and the sale of organs, and various such illegal things are seen in these days. Political representation. Just imagine that any child, any daughter child goes to their parents and say, I want to take part in politics. How many of you think that your parents will say, हाँ बेटा जा जी अपनी जिंदगी? That is not going to happen, because politics is still considered as a sector that is usually for male dominance, and बहुत गफले होते हैं वहाँ पे. Females are usually supposed to stay away from it. So that was a political status of women. Very few candidates in politics are women, and these days it is nice that women have a certain kind of reservation in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha to make sure that they are represented in a certain way. So that was one thing. Various boards like Central Social Welfare Board (CSW) was established in 1953 to carry out welfare activities. In 1970s, towards equality was done under the UN Decade of Women. In 1990s, development to empowerment, there was a great change. Rather than development, you need to empower them to be sufficient enough and stand on their own. And this can mainly be done by being educated, then earning, having economic independence, and then being socially aware of their rights, and knowing that in democracy everyone is supposed to have equal rights. So many women are not even aware of that. Then in 2016, the ministry prepared the national policy for empowerment of women and drafted the national policy of women. And there were many acts under it, like protection of women from domestic violence, we see it a lot, the sexual harassment of women at workplace. Then Muslim Women Protection of Right and Marriage Act. It was too famous, like Teen Talaq Bill. What is Teen Talaq Bill? If a Muslim man wants to divorce with his wife, he can just call on the phone and say talaq, 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 and that divorce would be legalized. It was something like that. I'm not very sure of it, but something like that. And that kept the Muslim woman under very much fear that her husband, what I'm doing, her husband could do so. So a law was passed, and that thing was done and gone for good. So then we come to exercise, page number 34. Conditions of women in India. I thought it would be a really possible question, though it is a bit controversial because having such topics for us to study is a bit uncomfortable, but that's fine. It can be a good 5-mark question, so make sure you keep your emotions and belief aside and write to get at least good marks. Then there is a question on green revolution, what is empowerment, such as measures of women empowerment and things like that. Yeah, that what make it. I guess I crossed my time limit this time, but that's it. Discard. And I guess we will see each other with a next video. Okay, nearly half an hour.